If you're a parent right now, you're probably feeling this quiet anxiety that the schools we went to just aren't going to cut it for our kids in the AI world that's coming. It's this gut feeling that the whole system is kind of broken. So, in this explainer, we're going to dig into not just why it's broken, but also look at a pretty radical new blueprint for what school could actually be.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at why the system feels like it's in crisis. Then, we'll get into the why behind that failure, sort of deconstructing its hidden source code. From there, we'll talk about a new foundation built on a really surprising idea and the AI learning engine that makes it all possible. Then we'll see what kids do with all their extra time, and finally, we'll wrap up by imagining a totally new future for school.
So let's just dive right in. There's this feeling out there, and you can't really ignore it, that something is just fundamentally wrong with our education system. It's not just a vague worry. It's a real, tangible anxiety for parents who are looking at the world their children are about to step into. And this quote just nails it, right? This is the core fear. Parents are looking, 10, 15 years down the road, and they see this massive gap. The world has changed on a fundamental level, but the classroom, it looks pretty much the same.
And what's so frustrating is this paradox we're in. We keep pouring more and more money into education, but the student test scores, they're either flat or in some cases, they're actually going down. It just goes to show you throwing more money at a system that's broken doesn't fix it. The problem isn't the funding, it's the design itself.
So, okay, if more money isn't the answer, what is the problem? Well, to really get that, we have to look at why the system is failing. And the issue is literally baked into the source code of what we think of as school, a design that was made for a totally different time.
And here it is. This is the single biggest flaw. Our schools are time-based, not mastery-based. Think about it. Every year, kids move to the next grade with their age group, whether they've actually mastered the material or not. This one single design choice is the root of almost every other problem we see.
I mean, you know how it goes. A kid gets an 80% on a math test. We call it a B, we put it on the fridge, and we all move on. But what about that other 20% they didn't get? That's a small hole, a small gap in their understanding.
Now, for subjects that build on each other like math or even reading, that missing 20% becomes a really shaky foundation for the very next thing they have to learn. All of a sudden, that tiny little gap starts to get a lot bigger because now they're trying to build new knowledge on something they never really understood in the first place.
And year after year, these gaps just compound. They get bigger and bigger until a student's entire foundation of knowledge looks like Swiss cheese. And at that point, trying to keep up feels impossible. So what happens? They check out, they feel lost, and they decide, I'm just not good at school.
And the final result of this whole compounding failure is, honestly, it's shocking. From 8th grade to their senior year, that's 4 years of high school. The median U.S. student improves their test score by an average of just 1 point. That's it, 1 point. The system hasn't just slowed down. For most kids, it's ground to a complete halt.
Okay, so that was pretty bleak. I know. But what if we could just start over, rebuild the whole thing from scratch? Well, the starting point for that is a single, super radical, and totally non-negotiable principle.
This is it. This is the new rule number 1. Kids must love school. Not just put up with it, not just survive it, love it. The old idea that school's like spinach, something you have to force down because it's good for you, that's out the window. Making sure kids love school has to be the North Star that guides everything else. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds impossible, right? But check this out. At a school called Alpha, they actually asked students this question: do you love school more than vacation? And between 40 and 60% of them say yes. They've even had kids ask for the school to stay open during the summer. So yeah, it is absolutely possible. So how in the world do you build a school that kids actually love? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is respecting their time and intelligence. You get rid of the old, inefficient, one-size-fits-all lecture, and you replace it with a powerful new learning engine run by AI that completely flips the old model on its head. This AI tutor is designed to fix that knowledge hole problem we talked about. First, it figures out exactly what a student knows, and more importantly, what they don't know. Then, it creates personalized lessons just for them to fill in those specific gaps. And finally, and this is the game changer, a student only moves on when they can prove they've actually mastered the concept. It makes learning about effort, not just about who's smart. And the results, in terms of efficiency, are just mind-blowing. A subject that normally takes about 200 hours of class time and homework to get through, in this model, students can reach full mastery in an average of just 22 hours. That is nearly 10 times faster. And this isn't just theory, it translates to real-world results. In a typical school, an average student might gain about 5 points on a standardized test in 1 year. Here, they're gaining 10 points. They're literally learning twice as fast, and they're doing it in just 2 hours a day.
Which, of course, brings up the most exciting question of all. If you can get all your core academics done in just a couple of hours, what on earth do you do with the rest of the day?
See, the goal isn't just to make school shorter and send kids home. The goal is to use all that time you just got back to purposefully teach them the real-world skills that traditional schools just don't.
So the rest of the day is spent in these hands-on life skills workshops. We're talking about things that are usually just afterthoughts in a normal school, like public speaking, financial literacy, real teamwork, and leadership. All of that becomes a central part of the curriculum every single day.
But okay, how do you actually teach an abstract idea like grit to a 7-year-old? You're not going to give them a lecture on it, that's for sure. No, you give them a challenge, something that, to them, feels absolutely impossible.
You teach them about getting just 1% better every day. You sign them all up for a 5K race, you train them for months, and then you stand there and you watch them cross that finish line, realizing that they can do things they never thought they could. That's how you teach grit.
Look, this isn't really about just one special school. This is a blueprint for the future of education. It's a new model that's actually designed for the world we live in today, built from the ground up to unlock the incredible potential that we know is inside every single kid.
So in the end, this whole thing changes the question we should be asking. We stop asking, how do we fix this broken system, and we start imagining a completely new one. So I'll leave you with this. If your child could learn 10 times faster, and if they actually truly loved school, what could they become?